So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is basically record this, and then once the recording's done, go through, edit it, have a little fun with the editing process. I'm thinking of It's Raining Men as our introduction.
I was thinking smooth up in ya.
It's raining men. Hallelujah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun.
So,
Okay, it's so weird. Know the lyrics to that, Mark?
what, It's Raining
I've
Men?
I've heard the song before.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
I don't know all the lyrics.
So, welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. My name's Russ,
Mark?
And I'm Henry.
and tonight we're going to be discussing what exactly do people mean when they say a whiskey is smooth. I think that's going to make for an interesting topic, actually.
I
Okay.
think so. And we all have very different ideas of what we consider a smooth whiskey.
Absolutely.
Now I consider it like a whiskey, like the Glenmorangie. In fact, I'm going to be drinking some Glenmorangie tonight.
Ooh, your taste buds must
But
really be back.
they are indeed. But the that is the shortbread cookie. That's the vanilla bomb. It has maybe a little bit of barrel spice in there, but generally not a lot.
Hmm.
It is a smooth sipper. It is something that you can roll around in your tongue. You're not going to get that big alcohol burn to it, and and it's delicious and it's a great starter whiskey. But then again, it is in something that's overly challenging.
Right, and
And so I
that's
would,
what I was thinking when you were describing that. Actually, was something that wasn't much of a challenge.
but tonight I'm going to be breaking out the big bottles tonight, and because I've got the Glenmore. Where's the thing?
Uh,
Yep,
yep.
yep.
Nice.
So this is the Glenmorangie La Santa. It is a sherry
Ooh.
cask finished 12-year Scotch, and then I'm going to
Interesting.
follow that up by my other big bottle, which is the Glenmorangie La Quinta Reuben, which is a port cask finish, and that's 14-year.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
I've heard good
Yeah,
things
these were
about
lovely
both.
little. Yeah, these were lovely little bottles that were actually tucked into a bottle, a Glenmorangie set that I bought, and I'm
Okay.
kind of anxious to try them.
Nice.
Okay. So, Russ, to you, what do you consider smooth to be as far as going into whiskey?
I think the biggest thing for most people is probably the alcohol burn is what they're describing as a smooth whiskey. And yeah, I'm kind of with Mark as well. I think maybe that they're unassuming as far as any flavors that perhaps are obtrusive, like barrel spice. But I think primarily most people are describing, excuse me, the effects of the alcohol itself. Is there a burn? Are there really strong vapors off of it? So, something of that nature.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay. To me, I feel smooth is being kind of balanced between the flavors and the alcohol burn.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't matter, you can get rid of the alcohol burn, but then again, I think to some extent, you lose a lot of the flavors of the whiskey. So to me, smooth is a good combination and a good balance of both flavors and then alcohol burn.
Mm.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, the alcohol burn on some of them can be pretty vicious. But when it comes to scotch, you got that balance there. And sometimes they don't necessarily even out. But to me, that's what smooth is. You have a good balance between burn, drinking, palatable flavors, and finish.
Hmm.
To me, it encompasses all of that.
So, and the reason I think this is important, we were talking about it a moment ago, is that this is a term that everybody uses. We've thrown it around as well, and it's a very subjective term. When you say smooth, it's what exactly are you saying? As we were discussing a moment ago, you could get a peat monster or something like that, and generally very heavily peated whiskeys tend to handle their ABV very well. You can have a 50% ABV that tastes like a 40. But would you
Right.
describe that as being smooth? Yeah, you're not getting the alcohol burn, but you're definitely getting a very strong peat influence at that point. Would the average person still consider that to be a smooth whiskey?
It depends. I think it would depend on their taste. If they like the peaty, the smoky, the bacony, meaty flavors
Hmm.
of that kind of a scotch. Um,
But I don't associate any of those flavors with smooth.
Same here.
And I think, yeah. I mean, if you're getting those flavors and everything, I mean, they can be absolutely pleasant and maybe something very welcoming.
Hmm.
But I would also consider them, more challenging flavors.
Well, like with something that's sherry influenced, like this. Maybe somebody doesn't like sherry influence. As a result, would this no longer be smooth? Just because something has a strong flavor of some sort doesn't, I don't think, necessarily impact whether or not it's smooth. Because that's just personal taste as far as what flavors appeal to you.
right, exactly.
So that leaves smooth is really more, is there a bite to it?
Right.
And I guess what,
Now drink.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now drinking this Glenmorangie. This is that you mentioned sherry cask, because this is the sherry casked one.
Hmm.
Now it's also, now I would consider this to be a very smooth whiskey. Now it doesn't have the alcohol burn to it.
Hmm.
It really has those caramel flavors and everything too, but then it also has this underlying fruit flavors to it, like the dark fruits, the plum, the cherry. It has that going for it. And I think I found a new love here, actually.
Nice, no kidding.
Yeah,
Excellent.
What's the age
yeah.
statement on that one again?
12
For,
year.
Wow,
I
okay.
thought it was,
Yeah, yeah.
this one.
That's the 12. The port,
Okay,
the La Quinta is the 14.
Okay.
okay.
But
Wow, might have to
what a
look that one up.
surprise this was.
Hmm. 'Cause I think those are pretty easy to find, actually.
They are. Yeah, they're about as easy as to find as the standard Glenmorangie 12.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I might have to pick up a bottle.
So yeah, I'm enjoying this. The nose on it is good, is fabulous. I'm certainly picking up the vanilla toffee notes,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that you would normally find in a Glenmorangie, and then you get this little fruit punch in there, and
Nice.
that's just fabulous. In fact,
Excellent.
it actually reminds me a little bit of fruit punch.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So back to our conversation on smooth. The other thing that comes to mind is people's tolerance for ABV. So somebody who's been doing this for a little while, drinking whiskey neat, whether that's bourbon or scotch or whatever, probably has a different threshold for what they consider to be a burn versus somebody
True.
just coming into it who's maybe been drinking it on the rocks or something of that nature. I mean, for me, I'm drinking a 50% ABV right now, and it to me there really isn't a burn. There's a nice warmth, but there's nothing that's really off-putting or sharp or anything like that. But if I was to give it to Jo, my wife, for example, she would definitely say otherwise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a very good point, Russ. The ABV. I mean, we're finding there, as we've been taking this journey. I mean, we started off with 40s and 43s and everything, and now we're kind of working our way up to like the 46s, 48s, 50s, and we're getting a comfort level with that.
Yeah,
And then we've also got some cast strengths that we're going to try, and I'm really excited about that too. So and maybe graduating up to those higher ABVs, which are going to bring all the flavors and everything associated with that higher alcohol volume, may make the stuff that we had been drinking on the lower ends of the ABV spectrum, tamer.
sure.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I found one. I'm probably going to pick it up this weekend, but it's 60
Ooh, cask
APV.
strength. So it's a Scotch?
Uh-huh.
Interesting. So a cask strength. That's going to be, yeah, you'll have plenty of flavor if you can get to it past the alcohol.
It's going to pack a punch. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But no, and it's like, it's funny because, you know, while we do this stuff, I talked to Chana about it, and what they have over in Thailand is completely tame compared to here. And she's like, I'm not sure if I could handle it. And I'm like, I figured you live in Thailand and stuff like that. Like, this would be like donkey piss or whatever. You'd have something way stronger than that. And she's like, oh, no, not at all.
Well, again, I think it's all
That's
about
interesting.
acclimating.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what, you know, being in a different part of the world, I mean, what does she see out there in terms of like alcohol volume? I mean, Scotch has got to be at least 40% ABV.
Right. But again, they have I don't know, wine coolers, and they just call them by the color it is. This is red, this is blue. There's really no definitive of what it is. It's just based on color. And it's a weird concept for me to grasp that she's drinking a can of wine. Like,
And I thought using bag wine for a pillow was bad.
Oh, no, it's canned wine. I'm like, what is that? And she's like, red. And I'm like, what is that? Why? But it's what they have, and it's just different cultures and stuff like that. And so I'm sure if she came here, when she comes here, what we drink, she's going to be like, holy, one drink, and she's like, I'm out.
That's a lot of
tapping
people.
out.
I mean, again, we started this in July.
We're still new at this, yeah.
But I think with what we've done, we've exposed ourselves to this gradually over time. And I'm sure we've all built up a bit of a tolerance to that burn.
So, I mean, bring it.
By the way,
I'm sorry, Russ. Go ahead.
And somebody coming into this new, who's perhaps not used to drinking something neat, would certainly struggle with some of the stuff that we're drinking.
Oh yeah. And see, and I'm having the Ardmore right now, and it's only 40%. And I don't find the alcohol burn unpleasant. I find it actually very warming, very gratifying.
Yeah. Well, now, let me pose a question to you while you're talking about it. So we've all done higher ABVs. I think, Henry, you've been up 46 to 50% as well. Mark, I know you and I have. Now, if you go back to something that's 40%, do you feel like it's lacking because you're not getting that?
No, I don't.
Mark, what do you think?
No. All right. How do I explain this? I mean, I don't find it lacking so much as, you know, when I get into the higher ABVs and everything, I find them a little more challenging. Just in a broad statement, you know, I find them in general a little bit more challenging, that there's more flavors to suss out and everything, but it doesn't make that experience I had with the 40 any less invalid.
Now, do you find going to the higher APVs or the higher end scotches, when you do go back and visit the lower levels, the lower APVs and everything like that, do you find there's a disparity as far as your own mind, smoothness?
None.
No, because I still approach that bottle with, I don't know, it's going to sound corny, with respect. You know, we kind of understand what goes into it. We kind of understand the process. We,
and that's a good question.
can appreciate it.
That reminds me, and we'll talk about it. I was down actually at Big Red Liquors the other day, not last week, but the week before, and they have sorry,
You're good.
and it's called Wee Beastie
Yeah, that's Ardbeg.
Oh yeah. Ardbeg.
And
Yeah.
that is stout.
Ardbeg.
You want a challenge, get that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll put hair on your hair.
Mm-hmm.
I came close to buying it, and
I
I
need
was
to
like,
drink more of that.
if you guys got something, we need to do a show on that one. Just the name alone, Wee Beastie.
And it is. It's a young whiskey, too. And it's a really powerful Isla. Not smooth.
And
By
there's
any
been no
definition.
time for it to mellow out at all.
Yeah.
It's like, here you go. Ah!
Yep. That's pretty accurate, I think.
Yeah, that was about my experience with it.
but no, it's just like, but smoothness. I think it all depends on someone's taste buds, how their day's been, what they've gone through.
Yeah.
I could think a bottle of water smooth, and then again, depending on my day, I could think of drinking a glass of hot candle wax, and that's smooth too.
And that's a good point. I mean, day to day, your tastes change. So what's smooth today may not be smooth tomorrow.
Right.
No.
I mean, it's not that great of a descriptor.
No, it really
It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't really. There's no flavor in a smooth.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, we're all in agreement that really it's an overused term. And it's a term that people use just because they've heard it. And at the end of the day, we're better off describing the attributes that we feel make a smooth whiskey. Like how much burn is there, so on and so forth. But even, as we discussed earlier, even that, if I tell you that, well, I'm not getting much burn out of this, even though it's 50% ABV, somebody new to this is going to get burned.
Right.
So it's all relative.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about this too, was, there are flavors that we describe that are soothing, in the whiskey. And then there are flavors that we describe that are exciting.
Yes.
And certainly the cookie, the vanilla, the butterscotch, that's all, those are all soothing notes to the whiskey. Whereas, peppery and spicy and, barbecue and, when we describe, like something tasting like a ham, those are more exciting, peppery up flavors. And, maybe that's, kind of where we go in our descriptors.
So at this point, I'm going to say thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you had a good time.
Yep. Please leave us feedback and let us know what you're drinking and how you're drinking it. We certainly love any recommendations that you give us too.
Absolutely.
And for joining, we appreciate it. And thank you for spending your evening or wasting your evening, depending on how you want to look at it, with us.
Perspective is everything.